Hey, yeah, players. We had a bit of a technical difficulty, so we're doing this on the fly and we're running through. So we're going to go through all of the cards from the M15 set list before the pre-release on Saturday. It's Friday night now. We're having fun. We're going to talk about everything that we go through. We're now onto the reds. This is the red set of videos. What we've done is we've got Gatherer up, and we're just going to go through alphabetically all the red ones. So if you just go to Gatherer, go M15 and put them into colour order, skip through onto the red ones, and you can join us looking at the cards, or you can just listen to us in the background as you're getting on with your work, and it'll give you a bit of an insight into the cards that you'll be playing on Saturday at pre-releases, and what to look out for and what to miss. Okay, so Thrace, if you want to kick us off as usual.
Alright then. So, first up in our red block, Act on Impulse. This is a 2 colourless 1 red, so 3 sorcery. Exile the top 3 cards of your library. Until end of turn, you may play cards exiled this way. So, pretty useful.
Yeah.
So you exile the top 3 cards, you can play any one of them, so it's almost like drawing those cards. But of course, if you don't play in this turn, you don't get it back, but it's pretty useful. Kind of good for a red to get through its deck, to get access to some cards quicker. It's not bad.
The one question that I'd ask about this, I'd need a ruling on it, is, so this turn you exile those 3 cards.
Yeah.
They're put into the exile, that side. Next turn you then exile another 3 cards. Can you still go back to the first ones because they were exiled that way? It doesn't say cards exiled this way this turn. That's how they were put into the exile situation. So I would quite happily argue that. And if you can do that, I think that's quite a strong card.
Yeah. Yeah, it means having multiple copies of Active Impulse, but of course if you're doing a constructed deck, you will have.
Mm.
So yeah, no, to be honest, I think you're right. Until end of turn you may play cards exiled this way. Well, yeah, like you say, the first ones were exiled this way.
Yeah. It doesn't say exiled this way this turn. Sorry guys to get into a big rules debate first off.
Yeah.
But I think that could be, if you go to Friday Night Magic and or you go to your pre-release with that in mind, you could make a very nice Act on Impulse deck.
Yeah.
I think that could be some very quick burn going in there. Okay, so we'll move on. Aggressive Mining, which is a 4-drop 1 red enchantment. You can't play lands. Sacrifice a land, draw 2 cards, activate this ability only once each turn. Right. This is a late game card. Really is a late game card when you're just waiting to fire off the final bits and pieces. I mean, you get into trouble, you're going to want some kind of enchantment removal for your own side as well.
Yeah.
If you know what you're doing, fine. I think this would be a really daunting card for new players. I can see some standard getting this card and really playing with the idea. Lots of ramp in, green-red kind of mana ramp into it, especially
that gets lots of lands out.
Yeah, and then you play this, and then you've got sack a land, draw a card. You could keep sacking lands until you draw the cards that you want. If you're just waiting for that combo to fire off and finish.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't play a turn 4, guys.
No.
Just heads up.
Yeah, that's going to be a card that I think when someone cracks it, they'll be alright. But until then, I think it's a very difficult card to play with.
So, next up, we have Altak Bloodseeker. 1 colourless, 1 red. Creature, Human Berserker, 2/1. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, Altak Bloodseeker gets +2/+0 and gains first strike and haste until end of turn. That's pretty useful, especially with red having lots of direct damage. You can kill creatures quite reliably.
Yeah, a 2-drop 2/1. So that's fairly okay.
Yeah.
Not brilliant, but he becomes a 4/1 with first strike and haste if you can make sure you can get rid of opponent's cards. If you're playing classic red-black,
lots of removal then.
Lots of removal there. It could be a very nice combo card, and at 4 damage, if you're getting through your opponent's lines, that's not to be sniffed at.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah. Okay. we'll go on to Belligerent Sliver. So this is the Slither in the red. It's a 2/3, 2/1 red. So it's a 3-drop Slither creature, 2/2. Slither creatures you control have this creature can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. That's quite powerful.
Yeah, pretty good way. Makes your creatures much harder to block.
Yeah, very useful red Slither card. You won't be seeing Slither cards in limited play because there's one of each side for the colours. They're not really worth playing if you're just playing red, or maybe 2 colours. They don't bounce enough off on each other, and I don't think there's enough in this set to be playing 5 colours. So unless someone's really ridiculously lucky on their draws, you won't be seeing Slithers being played. But maybe in standard, someone might put together a nice little Slither deck again. We'll see what happens.
Maybe. So next up we have Blast Firebolt. 5 colourless, 1 red, instant. Blast Firebolt deals 5 damage to target creature. Destroy all equipment attached to that creature. 6 mana is a lot to pay for 5 damage that you can only use on creatures. It destroys all the equipment attached to that creature, which is pretty good if somebody's playing a deck that requires putting a lot of equipment on one creature. But its mana cost is far too steep.
Yeah, there's a reason why it's a common card. Outside of limited, there's standard cards that pretty much do the same thing. You'll find a replacement for it, but if you need that removal and you need it, you're going to pay for it and you're going to have it in your deck. If someone does have artifacts and you have to figure out some way of getting rid of it, you're going to pay 6 mana to get rid of it, and that's the bottom line at the end of the day. Right, we then have Borderland Marauder, which is a 2-drop red human warrior for a 1/2. Whenever it attacks, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. I like that. That's a 2-drop for, in its attacking state, it's a 3/2. So you're going to be swinging with it. You're not going to use it as a blocker as a 1/2. But then again, it will take on tokens, 1/1s and stuff like that. So I think that's a really good red card, and that's going to be in a lot of
it's
decks.
a pretty cool little creature. So next up we have Brood Keeper. 3 colourless, 1 red for a human shaman creature, 2/3. Whenever an aura becomes attached to Brood Keeper, put a 2/2 red dragon creature token with flying onto the battlefield. It has pay 1 red. This creature gets +1/+0 to end of turn. Not a bad little guy. If you've got a lot of enchantments, well, a lot of auras, to stick on this guy, you can make a number of 2/2 dragon tokens. The only problem then being that you make the Brewkeeper quite a target by putting so many different enchantments on him.
Yeah.
But 2/2 red dragon tokens with flying and the fire breathing ability are nothing to sneeze at.
No, they make any enchantment aura that you're going to cast worthwhile casting then, because you've got that massive bonus on top of it. I mean, a 2/2 flyer for free anyway is brilliant, but then you've got this buffing ability which is unlimited. So if you're rocking 4 reds already when you get the Brewkeeper out, then you get an enchantment aura on her. Even if it's tiny and doesn't do a lot, you're still going to get a 2/2 red dragon with flying, and then you can buff it up by 4, so you're making it a 6/2 flyer.
Yeah.
I think that's a bloody good card. Okay, next up we've got Burning Anger, which is a 5-drop red enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature has tapped. This creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. Not a brilliant card. The cost is a little bit steep for direct damage, but if you can play this onto Typhoid Rats, you've got yourself a killing combo then.
Yeah.
Typhoid Rats, reprinted in this set, it's a 1/1 Death Touch black creature for 1 drop. Then you've got this, it tap it, it deals its 1 damage to any creature, you're just pinging them off because that direct damage has Death Touch. Any damage dealt by this creature kills.
Yeah.
So, black-red, we're really synergising with the black-red here. In the black deck, there was also their joint card is a mountain card as well.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's pretty good if you put it on Fatty as well, be able to do 6 damage directly to your opponent, just even getting around trample. So say you put it on a soul creature, for example. Pretty good.
Yeah, no, I think this is a really good card. It's rare. At the end of the day, you're not going to pull a lot of these, but I can see this being a very, very sought after card in standard. Friday Night Magic is going to love this card. It really is red deck wins.
Yeah. So, next up we have Chandra Pyromaster, the red Planeswalker for this set. 2 colourless red. Planeswalker Chandra, of course. So, +1 loyalty ability. Chandra Pyromaster deals 1 damage to target player and 1 damage to up to 1 target creature that player controls. That creature can't block this turn.
Wow.
It's quite a nice little loyalty ability. You're effectively doing 2 damage, spread between the player and the creature, of course. But the fact that it also stops you able to block, pretty cool. 0. Exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. So it's kind of like a pseudo draw in red. It's sort of like drawing a card-ish.
Play it or lose it.
Yeah. Very red.
Yeah.
And her ultimate, her -7, exile the top 10 cards of your library. Choose an instant or sorcery card exiled this way and copy it 3 times. You may cast the copies without paying their mana costs. So, pretty cool. If you've got a really powerful direct damage spell in your hand, copying it three extra times is pretty vicious.
Yeah, I mean, anything really that you can copy 3 times is going to give you a win, but then this is her ultimate.
Yeah.
You don't usually play Planeswalkers for their ultimates. They're just
Very
there
rare
for
you get
people
there.
to go, ooh, isn't that pretty?
Yeah.
No one gets there. You're playing it for a +1 ability and a 0 ability. A +1, I like.
Yeah.
You ping 1 damage to an opponent. That's always good, especially in red deck. You do 1 damage to a creature, either if they're playing lots of tokens, which we've seen in blue, we've seen in white. You're going to be killing that token or making sure it can't block this turn. So you're going to slip your creatures through that unblock. It's not too bad. The exile top card may play it.
Yeah. It's okay.
If you're looking for land, could be, but I would worry too much that you're going to start exiling cards that you can't play this turn, but you might be able to. Maybe at the beginning of your turn when you've got all your mana untapped and you know you can play anything that you're going to draw.
Yeah.
Cool. That could be the time to start doing stuff like that. Gives you an extra draw, really.
Yeah.
Okay. So, not the strongest Planeswalker, but not the weakest one by far in this set so far. So next up we've got Circle of Flame. We've seen this card before. It's a lovely reprint. It's a 2-drop red enchantment. Whenever a creature without flying attacks you or a Planeswalker you control, Circle of Flame deals 1 damage to that creature. You get a few of those out. You're really looking strong for non-flyers. Although, like I always say in Limited, flying is good. So you've just got to watch out for them. But that really will give you a lot of defense on that one. I do like Circle of Flames.
Definitely makes your opponent think twice before attacking you. They've got, oh, can he now kill my creature, or blah blah blah. Pretty useful. Next up, Clear a Path. 1 red mana, sorcery, destroy target creature with Defender. Very specific, but there are a number of walls, and so far it appears to be a cycle, 1 wall for each colour. Pretty cool way to get around it, and it's a little bit of direct removal in red rather than damage. Kind of interesting. Nice little bit of flavour to red, just getting past the Defender card, but not a lot of use.
No. I'm surprised it's not a deal 5 damage to it, just to keep in with the theme of red rather than destroy. I think it's definitely worth knowing that you've got, if you start playing against someone who's got a few defenders. If they are playing defenders, then yeah. I mean, white has a heavy defender plus card to it. There's a couple of cards like that, so keep an eye on it. If you've got it, make sure you know you've got it. It could even be worth splashing red to get past their walls and things like that. If you have to do it, it's good to know you've got it.
Yeah.
Right, next up we've got Cone of Flame, which is a 5-drop double red sorcery. Cone of Flame deals 1 damage to target creature or player, 2 damage to another target creature or player, and 3 damage to a third target creature or player. So for 5 mana, you're doing 6 damage in total. Spread any way you want, and it doesn't say it has to be a different creature or player, so you can use it as removal. Am I right in this, or am I...
I would have to look at the rulings, but I'm working on the assumption that you're right. It's just it says another and to a third target.
Yes.
But I don't know if that means you can say you and you And you,
No,
I
I
assume you
think
have to spread it between 3 different targets.
3 different targets, yeah.
I
Okay.
assume.
But that's very useful for doing a lot of damage there. 5, 3 sent direct damage, and then the other 2 to kill off 2 creatures would be a very handy card for 5 damage. And you play that in a sorcery. It's a shame it's not an instant, but then you are getting more damage to how much money you're paying, so it kind of levels out there a little bit.
So next up we have Crowd's Favour, which is 1 red mana, instant, with Convoke. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. So this is probably the lowest mana cost card we've seen with Convoke. Just means you can play it for free by tapping 1 creature. Giving something +1/+0 on first strike could make the difference in combat. First strike is always useful, even as a blocker or an attacker. And given +1/+0, nothing just needs that for 1 mana.
No, I think that's a very, very useful card and worth having in your hand. You can use the blocker himself to pay for the card. Assign blockers, he's not tapped. You then tap it to pay for it if it's a red creature. You then buff it up, give it first strike and a +1. So you might do enough damage then to kill that creature. Very useful card. I think that's going to make a lot of game changes for you.
Yeah.
Good card to have. So next up we've got Crucible of Fire, which is a 4-drop 1 red enchantment. Dragon creatures you control get +3/+3. Yeah, brilliant. Red's always keen on dragons. I think we'll see a few more dragons coming up in the reds as we move on. And giving them a +3/+3 permanently. That's the main thing about this. Okay, it looks a bit high for a 4, but if you think you've got 3 dragons on the table, maybe you've made a couple from that card we saw earlier, they all get +3/+3 permanently. That is a really good card.
So for sticking 1 enchantment onto your Broodkeeper, you make a 2/2 dragon, you've got this in play, make a 5/5 dragon.
With flying. Yeah, love it.
So next up we have Forge Devil, 1 red mana, creature, devil, 1/1. When Forge Devil enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to target creature and 1 damage to you. Not a bad little creature. If you're playing on the draw, your opponent turn 1 plays a 1/1 creature, you play Forge Devil, kill their creature. Okay, it does 1 damage to you, but you've killed their creature and you've got a 1/1 creature yourself in play.
Puts you on the front foot, really.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, messes with your opponent's kind of early game, bits and pieces like that. Quite useful first drop red card. Alright, you've got the 1 damage to yourself, but seeing as you're doing it first turn. Or it could be quite useful for removal of some flying creatures.
Yeah.
If you absolutely need to get rid of them and they're pecking away at you, there's a couple of 1 toughness flyers that we've seen so far. Could be quite handy. Right, next up we've got Foundry Street Denzin, which is a 1-drop red Goblin Warrior for a 1/1. Whenever another red creature enters the battlefield under your control, Foundry Street Denzin gets +1/+0 until end of turn. That's a nice little icing on the cake there. 1 drop for a 1/1. I'm happy to pay that. And then you get this +1 whenever another creature enters the battlefield. So, yeah, I'm quite happy to have that. That's quite a useful card, and
can make for a reasonably sized attacker if you're playing red weenies.
Yeah, something goblin-y, something like that would be quite good. Right, we're on to the next page now.
So next up we have Frenzied Goblin, 1 red mana, creature, Goblin Berserker, 1/1. Whenever a Frenzied Goblin attacks, you may pay red. If you do, target creature can't block this turn. So early on, it's quite a good way to stop your opponent blocking with some of their creatures. And later on, you can still make their big creatures not block.
Yeah, there's no limit to how many times you can do it.
I'm afraid you can only do it once.
You can only do it once?
Yeah, it's a debate I had a little while ago with another ability that was very similar. It only triggers them once because whenever he attacks.
Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough. Alright. But yeah, you can make sure that 1 creature is taken out of the mix on the block.
Yeah.
Quite useful card. I mean, 1 drop for a 1/1, like we said. Always good.
Not bad.
And there's lots of mana conversion in black. So this is really bouncing off your red-black again, where returning creature cards that are under 2 mana cost or 2 mana cost or less and things like that. So could be quite an interesting card to be playing in that mix there. Next up, we've got a very useful reprint here. We've got Furnace Whelp, which is a 4-drop, that's double red 4-drop, for a dragon for a 2/2 with flying. So it's not brilliant, it's a little bit offset from what you get for what it is, but you can pay red to give it +1/+0 until the end of turn. You can make that choice whenever you want, so you can do it if someone's, alright, I'll take that damage, or I'm going to block it with this creature, I'll give this creature flying and then block it, then you can ramp it up. You've got your mountains sat untapped, your opponent doesn't know what you're going to do. Very, very useful card. I'd say without that ability, the offset is only about 1 mana.
Yeah.
For a 2/2 with flying, I'd want to pay about 3 mana for it. Maybe not have the double red, but the chance to buff it up to what, a 7/2, something like that. You can't argue with that at all. It's a really good card, and there is a really good reason why it gets reprinted.
Yeah.
Time and time again.
Especially if you're playing Crucible of Fire, it's a 5/5 for 4.
Yes. Yeah, 5/5 for 4 with ability to ramp it and flying. That, yeah, dragon. I think we'll see a really good dragon deck come out of this for standard. Yeah, dragons versus squids. FTW.
So next up we have Generator Servant. 1 colourless, 1 red. Creature, elemental, 2/1. Tap it. Sacrifice Generator Servant. Add 2 colours to your mana pool. If that mana is spent on a creature spell, it gains haste until end of turn. Pretty cool way to help ramp out some of your bigger creatures, say, I don't know, dragons. And it also gives the dragon haste when it comes into play, if you use this guy to play it. But on the other hand, he's a 2/1 for 2 mana, which is pretty efficient, especially in red.
Yeah, with the sacking ability. And then you can always use that on the block. So block with your Generator Servant. Tap it, giving you 2 colourless mana. Either flash in another creature, or use it to do lightning or something like that to another one of the attacking creatures to remove that one. So you've taken a lot less damage than your opponent was expecting. Real good recovery. I think that's got a lot of leeway in it. For a common card, I think that's
it's pretty
quite good. Right, so next up we've got Goblin Kaboomist? Kaboomist, of course it is. This is a 2-drop, 1 colourless, 1 red, for a Goblin Warrior 1/2. So we're starting off on a good fit there for a red card. That's quite useful. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a colourless artifact token named Landmine onto the battlefield with red. Sacrifice this artifact. This artifact deals 2 damage to target attacking creature without flying. Then flip a coin. If you lose the flip, Goblin Kaboomist deals 2 damage to itself. I like this card. That's a fun card. It's what goblins should be. Yeah, really useful, especially if you can buff it with a +1/+1 lying around somewhere.
Yeah.
You're going to be alright. But all those landmines that go off, and if you've already lost your Goblin Kaboomist and you've got 5 landmines lying there, that's a really useful card. I like that a lot. Now my question would be, going into playing it, can you do this before you assign blockers?
Yeah, I think so.
So, opponent declares attackers, you then sack the artifact paying the 1 red, and then you'll know whether those mines trigger and who is left on what life and who you've got to block. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so. I think you can do that. I'd have to double check my combat phase, right? But because they declare their attackers.
So you sacrifice the artifact as an instant.
Yeah.
Before you declare blockers, so the end of declare attackers phase, they are then officially attacking. So then you can assess the situation again. Maybe their fatty that was a 6 is now down to 4, and you can kill it this turn, or maybe their 2 is dead already before you have to assign blockers.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So that could be a very, very useful card. Looks like goblins are getting a lot of play very soon. Goblins and dragons. The red's looking really strong.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, I think it's your turn, isn't it?
We have Goblin Rabblemaster, 2 colourless, 1 red. Goblin Warrior, 2/2. Other goblin creatures you control attack each turn if able. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a 1/1 red goblin creature token with haste onto the battlefield. Whenever Goblin Rabblemaster attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each other attacking goblin. So in some ways, this guy's a little bit like a slightly worse Goblin Pile Driver, but putting through into the modern area. He gets pretty big for lots of goblins, and he makes his own goblins, so he's always going to get at least an extra +1/+0, so he's pretty much always going to be attacking as a 3/2. The real drawback to him is that he makes other goblin creatures control that have to attack each turn if able, but usually if you're playing goblins, you probably are going to be swinging anyway, aren't you?
Yeah.
I quite like him, actually, because the goblin decks are always fun. Goblin Pile Driver was brilliant. It keeps them relevant all the time. And there's a little bit of me that thinks that the next block, that this is completely hypothetical and just pure theory crafting, but the next block that's coming out, Khans of Tarkir, is apparently set in Sarkhanvol's home plane. And just looking at the flavour of Sarkhanvol, reading some of the background about him, things like that, the plane he comes from, I reckon there might be some good goblins there. Might be wrong, but there could be a few goblins coming out of that. Goblin Rabblemaster might well help you build a standard goblin deck.
I think we're going to see a lot of tribes, because we've had a couple of things. What you need to look out for in the core sets is what they're reintroducing to try and get people used to things who have never played before, so that when they hit then the sets, the 3 of 1 that work together as a unit, they're already kind of aware of these things, like goblins, like fairies and Kithkin and things like that. I think we could be up for some tribal battles coming up very soon. Okay, so next up we've got Goblin Rough Rider, which is a 3-drop red Goblin Knight for 3/2. Basic Goblin Fair. Might as well stick him in. He'll work off your Goblin Rabblemaster, giving him another +1. You've got a Goblin deck there. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of people walk away from your pre-release having made a Goblin deck, because I think it might be viable, the amount of goblins you've got. Alright.
So next up we have Hammerhand, 1 red, enchantment aura, enchant creature. When Hammerhand enters the battlefield, target creature can't block this turn. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has haste. So for 1 red mana, you're getting +1/+1 worth of power and haste, and you're making it so that one of the creatures can't block. It's pretty good, actually. I like that.
Yeah. Stick that onto your Goblin Kaboomist, and he's not going to get destroyed by his own
Yeah, that's true.
coin flip. There we go. That's a nice card. I like that. Very useful. If you're splashing a bit of red, I'd splash that aura. Okay, next up you've got Heat Ray, which is an X and 1 red instant. Heat Ray deals X damage to target creature. This is brilliant. This is not limited to anything except for how much mana you've got. It's not even limited to mountains only.
Yeah.
It's not a double X, which we've seen before in some cards. I think this could be OP'd, to be perfectly honest.
It's a pretty good removal spell.
You stick this in a mana ramp deck, and you see the bombs just drop. Really useful. I like this card. I do.
I think it's pretty cool.
I'd splash for that card, I think.
Good removal. And removal is always good in limited. So next up we have Hoarding Dragon, 3 colourless red for a 4/4 dragon creature with flying. When Hoarding Dragon enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact card, exile it, then shuffle your library. When Hoarding Dragon dies, you may put the exiled card into its owner's hand. So it's kind of like a slow way to search for an artifact. Interesting way of doing it. Not the most useful, of course. It'd be nice if we just put it directly into your hand.
Yeah.
But you do, for 5 mana, you get a 4/4 dragon with flying, which is already pretty strong.
That's what you're looking for. There's a couple of these cards that have been released this set that are icing on the cake cards. On their own, they would be perfectly acceptable. I'm happy to play a double red 5-drop for a 4/4 dragon with flying, especially because dragons are so strong in this red. And then you can go searching for your artifact card that you want to play when it dies.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So you still get the artifact eventually.
Yeah. It'd probably be stronger if it was put into your put onto the battlefield
Yeah,
but
still not bad.
I like it.
Good and limited.
Then we have Inferno Fist, which is a 2-drop red aura enchantment. Enchanted creature you control. Enchanted creature gets +2/+0, and red sacrificed Inferno Fist. Inferno Fist deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Yeah, that's quite useful. So you're bumping a creature with +2, and then just before it dies, you can then pay 1 red mana, sack out the enchantment that you're going to lose anyway, to do 2 more additional damage. So say you've put that onto a 1/1 weenie, that's now a 3/1. That's going to do up to 5 damage for 1 mountain. So you can really use it to get rid of something very strong. I like it.
Yeah, it's nice.
Doesn't do it. If it was maybe +2/+2, it would be even better. But
be really good.
yeah. Other than that, I think there's not a lot we can say about it. It's
not
quite
bad.
good.
So next up we have Kurd Chieftain. This very much goes back to Kurd Ape exactly and just fills in the flavour perfectly. This is 3 colourless, 1 red for a 3/3 ape. Kurd Chieftain gets +1/+1 as long as you control the forest. 4 colourless, 1 green. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains trample 10 to turn. It's pretty nice. Within the cycle of creatures that get buffed by other colours, I say this one's fairly strong. It's pretty useful. So for 4 mana, if you have forest in play, you get a 4/4 creature. And for just 1 more mana on top of that next turn, you can give a creature, including itself, +2/+2 trouble.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'd say is maybe red-green doesn't really bounce off each other as nicely as I would want for this kind of card. But mana ramping into direct damage is always fun, so you could always play that angle. And apes are back. We haven't seen apes for a long time, I don't think, which is always nice. Yeah.
It's a nice Gruul style card. I like it.
Yeah, I can get behind that card. Okay, next off we have got Krenko's Enforcer. This is a 3-drop double red Goblin Warrior for a 2/2 with Intimidate. I don't think you can go wrong with that.
No.
3 for a 2/2 in red
Brilliant creature.
isn't bad, but then you've got Intimidate in it as well. Plus it's a goblin, so you've got lots of things that bounce off goblins and stuff like that. Very useful card in this red set.
So here we have Kurkesh Onaki Ancient. So this is the legendary creature for red. He's a 2 colourless red for a legendary ogre spirit, 4/3. Whenever you activate an ability of an artifact, if it isn't a mana ability, you may pay red. If you do, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. That's pretty cool. Pretty useful, interacting with artifacts. Yeah, so you can get some really good effects out of the artifacts and be able to copy them. It's not bad. Not only that, he's 4 mana for a 4/3 creature.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't argue with that at all.
Yeah, not bad.
In red, quite useful. Okay, next up we've got a classic Lava Axe, which is 5 mana cost for a sorcery card that deals 5 damage to target player. I mean, this is at sorcery speed, but it could be the killing blow.
Yeah.
After your attack, 5 damage is quite a lot, really.
In limited, this can end games.
Definitely. Your second main phase, gone. You win. So it's always worth packing. It's pretty much your bomb there, and it's not often that you get a sorcery card that means you win.
Yeah, very good. Now, next up is a card I've actually been quite excited about being reprinted.